Hello, everybody. Looking if everything is alright, and it seems to be okay. How is everyone? Did everyone have a great week? Hopefully. And everything is alright here. So let's start the show. Hey everybody, welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave radio show. We are live every Fridays, 2000 hours Universal Time. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Time. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We are here to talk about radio, and there's a beautiful chat room with amazing people that are ready to answer your questions, and they're just great, guys talking about radio and being in a place where we can talk about what we like as radio geeks without having these weird faces. So nice to have everybody here, and we are here every Fridays, like I said, at 2000 hours Universal Time. And today's Friday, July 26th, 2019, as we start another show. I'm going to talk about stuff about radio. Hope you enjoy the show today. And don't hesitate to say hi in the chat room, or if you're not in the chat room, you can say hi via email. Why not write a little something, say you're listening. I'll be looking at the emails through the show. Do that from time to time when people are not in the chat. Sometimes some people that are not in the chat will say hi through email. So why not check it out? Official Shortwave Radio at gmail.com. That's official shortwave radio at gmail.com. And why not say hi? And we're going to read that. And if you have questions that you don't want to ask there, but you want to ask via email, why not send them along? And we'll, of course, answer all these questions as we go through the show today. Terry Cook, nice to have you here from Western Montana, KCF7BQ. Kevin Wood from Nova Scotia, VE1 TV. Bobby Burgess from Louisiana, USA, is shortwave call sign WA5107SWL. Richard Cook, nice to have you on board from the UK. Matambali, nice to have you here from Colorado. Sheldon Harvey, bonjour, hi, guten tag, ni hao. From Greenfield Park, Quebec, nice to have you here, VE2SHW. Syrian Wello, nice to have you on board from Syria. Cyberflyer1, nice to have you here. Good evening. Todd Schmidt, nice to have you on board. Brent, nice to have you here from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Johnny DXer, W3JMC from the Philadelphia suburbs. Nice to have you here, my friend. Nick Amendo, nice to have you here from Romania. Jerry DX, nice to have you on board, my friend. What else do we have? Rodolfo65, nice to have you here from the sunny New York City. Sunny and warm Montreal here. We're upper 80s, close to 90. It's going to be warm this weekend. Neil Thunes, nice to have you here, Neil. And M0CJM from England. Nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. As we go down slowly. Randy, Riverside, California, KN6BZJ. Nice to have you here. PLF Radio, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. Je vois que vous avez des températures extrêmes. Il fait chaud. J'espère que tu te rafraîchis bien. Et bienvenue. Always nice to have you from France. William Helms, nice to have you here from Florida. Nice to have you here, Eric Cottrell. Nice to have you on board WB1HBU at work in Watertown, Massachusetts. Nice to have you on board. Kimberly, nice to have you here, K6YYL. Buenos dias, donde Eduardo? Donde Canada? Anyways. Oh man. Rufus Newt, nice to have you on board. And it's pretty cool to have all of you here. And wow, happy birthday in advance, my friend Bobby Burgess. Robert Babcock, nice to have you here, my friend, from Connecticut. Eric says, interest, as Joe mentioned, you hear some ham FT8 on 6 meters. Yeah, you know what? On 6 meters, I saw on the DX Fun cluster several hams in the northeast part of the US make FT8 contacts on 5313 across to Europe on 50 megahertz. That's pretty amazing. Imad Abbas, bonsoir et bienvenue, mon ami. Bro Weaver, nice to have you on board from St. Louis. Unpopcom, nice to have you here from Central Pennsylvania. Sean Fahey, nice to have you here, my friend. Always nice to have everybody on board. We have, let me just check it out here. Duncan Smith, nice to have you here from the south coast of England. M0KPK, pretty cool. Yes, my friend Cyberflyer1, I am well. NL13851, nice to have you on board from very hot Netherlands. I follow a guy called Paul Tarot that talks about technology, and he's in vacation in the Netherlands, and he's been doing these his daily podcasts from over there, talking about how it's hot for his vacation in the Netherlands. Eddie SX, nice to have you on board. Bonjour, VA3BUF from Ontario. Jack Linonis, something like that. Linonis. Jack, let's just say Jack. WB3IIA, nice to have you on board. Mike Keane, nice to have you on board from Bedford, New Hampshire. The email is officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. And anybody wants to write for any reason, I'll put it here in the chat. officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com, and you can write in. And anybody out there that is watching and it's not in the chat room for some reason wants to say hi, we'll check the email and I'll mention it. It's been a long time since we did that, so it's going to be nice to have maybe some emails here. Dave taught in Niagara, Ontario. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Robert is W0RAB in Connecticut. So, pretty cool, yeah. Summer weather here. Rick Robbins, nice to have you on board from Tennessee, K4YPS. Sylvia Olivia, nice to have you here, Sylvia. K0VY in Missouri. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Bob Bartola, nice to have you here. He's using his SDR Play Duo and picked up long wave beacons from near the Hudson Bay using 500-foot wire on the ground in my woods 40 miles from Philadelphia. That is nice. That's cool, DX. That is really cool, DX, honestly. Really a lot of fun. Pretty cool. Bill Fagan, nice to have you here. Says was over 101 Celsius Fahrenheit probably yesterday. Celsius would be boiling water, but yeah, I've seen some of the highs even in the UK. You guys are really getting it hot. Zachary Antle, nice to have you here. Says even though from Quebec, it still sounds odd to hear you speak French. I have to remind myself English isn't your first language. Yeah, it is. It is always a little weird to hear, especially when you always hear somebody talking in a specific language and they talk in another language. It's always kind of weird. Wilbur Fossier, nice to have you here from New Jersey. And be careful on your drive home. McCain WA1PJG from Bedford, New Hampshire. Nice to have you here, Mike. Keith Logan, nice to have you on board. Going pretty well. Zachary says, I was in a hotel room last night and I had a better data connection on our property in the Hawaiian jungle than I did in the room. My phone could pick up 3G. 3G, that's kind of an ancient technology now. That's where you see the amazing difference between our older technologies. I still remember when you know, there's something called Edge, and we were on Edge. It was like, oh wow, this is fast. And in reality, when you look at that today, which is Edge is I think it's what's 2G. That's like, oh man, that is just so crappy speed. 3G was a huge increase, but when you compare it to LTE or 4G, it's low. Pleft Radio says the heat wave just stopped right now in my location. In 2 hours, we lost nearly 10 Celsius in some parts of the country. The heat wave stopped yesterday, expecting thunderstorms. Yeah, and there's actually a lot of talk about this on one of the news websites that I go to. Rufus Newt says, just broke 90 here, hottest spot in Canada. Imad Abbas, what is a triple conversion receiver? Okay, triple conversion. So a receiver is designed in different ways. It can have single conversion. That is the basics of a radio. The most basic receiver here is a single conversion. It's often the cheapest ones are single conversion because it doesn't cost a lot of money. So if you buy a like a Texan R9012 for $20, that is a single conversion receiver. It's radio with the minimum required parts for it to work well, and that's it. The problem with that is that the intermediate frequency, which is often 455 kilohertz in most of the radios, suffer from what we call images. So usually 455 times 2 is 910, and often 910 kilohertz higher or lower depending on the design, you will find same station that you can hear at that frequency also. So you'll have images of stations in other parts of the spectrum. Then when you move up a notch, you get what we call double conversion receivers. What they do is they add another second intermediate frequency that is much higher. In general, is higher, so it still does images. A double conversion receiver will still do images, but it will do the images out of the range of the reception of the radio. So that means that you won't be plagued with any station popping up somewhere in the shortwave spectrum somewhere else, because the image is out of range for the receiver. And then they had a third layer, which is a triple conversion receivers, and this is seen in high-end radios most of the time. They add an extra layer of intermediate frequency, which often is on radios that will be, often is for radios that will have really big ranges of frequency, so that to make sure that there's no images in any part of the spectrum. It isolates also. Often it actually, different adding conversions will prevent some types of problems that receivers can be plagued with. And you can tap into these IFs to do other things. So sometimes you'll have the intermediate frequency, which is kind of a beat frequency that the radio uses to convert or kind of amplify whatever you're receiving and mixing it with another signal so that it's easier to process, or sometimes depending on what you want to do, some receivers have the intermediate frequency you can tap into in the back. For example, the ICOM here has that. So often they will have that capability because it will add some possibilities to what you can actually do with the radio and tap into its different circuits. Jack says, shout out to Rick Barton in Sun City, Arizona. Pleft Radio says some parts of France lost nearly 20 degrees. Zach, I have a tech question for you. The speakers on my iPhone 7 started sounding tinny last week, so we're sending it back for refund, but I'd still like to know why. It could be, there's several things. On smartphones, we carry these around all the time. So, of course, smartphones, there's some sorry, because I got some emails coming in, so I'm just looking at it. We carry them around, so they get kind of beaten and battered. I put my my Galaxy phone in my pocket, my short pockets, and you walk around and you do all sorts of things. So sometimes it could be mechanical damage. It could be that the speaker got damaged by the fact that all the vibrations and the moving around, and maybe you dropped your phone at some point. All of that might have done some kind of damage. Even if you never dropped it, it could be just a faulty speaker. It was funny because I read an article this week that was mentioning that on average, it seems that iPhones have more problems, technical glitches, over time than a lot of popular Android phones, which is kind of surprised me a little bit, because Apple, talks about how they expect a lot of quality out of their products, but it's something that can happen. Sometimes one of the things also that could happen is, for example, when I watch videos, I'm often at places where I can actually just look at the video, and I don't wear the earbuds. I rather have the sound come from the speaker. That also means that you'll pump up the volume a lot. Well, that can damage the speaker. Things like that can happen. It's something that happens. I've seen that in the past. In a friend of mine had an iPhone. I think it was an iPhone 4, and she showed me and she said, "Look at that. It sounds weird." Or sometimes there's no sound at all. There are some cases where it's electronic related, so when you reset the phone completely, things come back to normal, but there could be it could be just a fault of the iPhone 7, honestly. Things can happen, and you could have had a faulty speaker on that iPhone. Bobby Burgess remembers GPRS and Edge. Richard Cook, how's your loop doing? Is it working well? It is great. I love it. I'm very happy to actually have purchased the loop, honestly. Lower frequencies are amazing. I am having a lot of fun. It has brought back somewhat of, the cool shortwave listening. There's still a little bit of kind of there's still some interference that's plaguing some of the reception. But honestly, overall, I'm extremely happy with the W6 LVP mag loop. It's a great antenna, and I consider that even though it cost me $500 Canadian, that it is worth it, and I'm very happy to have it and to use it. I often compare it to the sloper that's on my Yaesu here, and like I said, on some frequencies they are pretty much par, but on some frequencies there's definitely better signal, which is nice, because honestly, what I wanted is at least the performance of the sloper. If you can give me at least the performance of the sloper, I think you can. I was already kind of okay. Give me that performance and add a little something more. You're gonna make me happy. Well, the loop does that. It gives me in a lot of frequency ranges, performance is similar, but it gives me the added value, the added bonus of lower noise on lower frequencies. I mean, I've never heard hams in the 160 meter range so well, ever. I don't even remember listening to hams with such a good signal. Even the 80 meter band, it is amazing, and I'm just, I wish I would have had that antenna when Radio Sondergrens from South Africa was still on the air, and the 90 meter band, because I'm sure I would have, I was always there in the noise with my sloper. I'm sure it would have been there and quite easy to listen to, honestly, using the loop. So I'm very happy, honestly, very, very happy. So they've thought image frequencies were handy on old VHF UHF scanners. Yes, sometimes it was. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes that you wanted to have the images coming back. Honestly, there were times like that. Syrian Willow was learning French for about 6 years. Feel happy when I talk French. It is a language of romance. Well, let's talk French a little bit. No, kidding. Jay Jolie, hey Jean-Marc, nice to have you here. Yes, my T-shirt with Friends for Life. For those that have not seen this, this is my cat shirt. So Best Friends for Life. I'm just gonna try to get up without actually knocking down anything. So Best Friends for Life. This is my my Gilles and Paul T-shirt, which I kind of like. It's kind of a nice little T-shirt to wear. And nice to have you here, my friend, with whom I had a few beers this week. Quite a few beers. So thanks, Sheldon, for sharing the electronic notes on double and triple conversion radios. Really, really nice. It is a refurbished phone too, about 3 years old, I think, so it could be, it might have been used so much that it just failed. Richard McLeod, nice to have you here. Where's my cat? Mine is doing better after a major surgery 2 weeks ago. She has been a brave little kitty and going through all the pain of the last 6 months, but it's now like a new cat. Cool. Cool. Nice to know that it's she's going well. My cat, for some reason, even though it's hot outside, insists on staying outside. So, you know, it's like crazy. He could be here in the air-conditioned room, and he would be much happier, I'm pretty sure. But for some reason, he wants to stay out and just like lie down in the neighbor's balcony, where he looks like really hot, but it's weird. Nick Mayakovsky, nice to have you on board. Any phones that flexes unintentionally is bound to have problems, isn't it? Yes and no. There's an amount of stress possible on devices. So this is my Galaxy S9 Plus phone, and I mean, you know, these things are thin. This is a pretty big phone too, but I actually love this phone. This is really love this phone that I use all the time. So there's always an amount of stress. I mean, you know, if you put it in your pockets, especially if you put it in like your jeans front pocket or stuff like that, the stress that it puts on the material sometimes can lead to some problems. But you know, they are thin, and often you know, there was that bend gate thing with the Apple iPhones that bent, and a lot of people said, well, they shouldn't bend. Yeah, but you know, you put it in your pocket and you sit down on it. I mean, yeah, it's of course it can add to problems for sure. Todd Schmidt says just started using his SDR on his iPhone 8 Plus. Works great. Like having another radio that touches the entire world. Love surfing the SDR servers. I like that. I like using this. I like using this for that purpose. So sometimes I'll be out somewhere and wait for a friend or something, or friends late, and there's nothing to do, and I kind of like tuning the SDRs on the phone. It's kind of cool. Simon Templar, nice to have you here. No package yet. I did think about you because I was wondering, so you're confirming that you mailed the package. No, but I guess next week. It takes time sometimes, a little bit too. And if it got stuck at customs for some reason, it might take even longer. So, you know, it's not impossible that it's stuck at customs, like the antenna that I had did. When that happens, it stays there. Sometimes it can stay there for a week or two before it's released. So I'll let you know when I get it. And thanks once again. Can't wait to see. Erica Trell says, Longwave is interesting. You should try listening to Longwave broadcasts from Europe and Africa. Yeah, here it's impossible because the noise is just too high, honestly. Noise is just too high. So, Pleft Radio says, how low in frequencies can you go on your SDR? 1 kilohertz. It tunes from 1 kilohertz to 2 gigahertz. The only problem is because I have filters on my W6 LVP loop, I have to, I can't tune below the 160 meter band because these frequencies are blocked. And I have the filter that's blocking the FM band is also blocking part of the higher frequency range. So if I want to listen in to long wave, for example, I would have to switch from my loop to my sloper. But there's so much noise that it's just impossible to listen to. Unfortunately, you know, it's just so long the last time that I've heard decent things. So yeah, I can hear the medium wave band on my SDR. It's just that the medium wave band isn't very strong because of the filters that I have on the loop to prevent overload. Rick Ray, nice to have you here from Turkey. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Elizabeth, nice to have you here. Just stop for a second, say hello. From Alaska, nice to have you here. From Alaska, Elizabeth, thank you very much for the nice comments. I didn't have all the time I wanted this week to do all the videos I wanted. I have to ramp up again, for sure. What else do we have? Terry Cook, do you watch Number Stations Research and Information Center? No, I don't. Well, SDR, Bobby, is we're listening to online SDRs. We're talking about online SDRs, not about SDRs that you can plug into the device. So he's listening to the Kiwi SDRs online. Andy RC, nice to have you on board, Andy. Pretty cool. I will let you know, Simon. What else do we have? Glenn from Tennessee, nice to have you here. And thank you very much, Imad, for the 17,000 reached this week. Pretty cool. Richard Cook has tropo and propagation here at the moment. He's getting France in the UK, 95.4 FM. Cool. Yeah, thunderstorms. You need a little portable for that, rather than a radio with an outdoor antenna. That's the way you would be able to tune it. Let's check out. Once again, I will reach out to anybody that's not in the chat room, wants to say hi. Email. So official shortwave radio at gmail.com. Say hi. And numberstations.com. No, I've never been to that website exactly. I've been to what's that page? The page that is the numbers and oddities thing that has a lot of weird stuff in there. I like the bulletins of the numbers and oddities. There's so much stuff in there about number stations and weird channel markers that are actually monitored everywhere. I was surprised once that I had some of the stuff that I actually tuned around and made videos with that were actually going into the Numbers and Oddities website. All sorts of weird stuff. So I'll check that page out for sure. Yeah, Priam, or whatever you pronounce it, is a great place for number stations, for sure. Maybe we should check out Priam and see what's if anything is coming up. I'm gonna go to Priam, Priam. I'm gonna go to Preom. I'm going to check out if there's any number stations. Preom. P-R-Y-I-O-M dot. I'll check that out. So M12 in a minute. 13253. Let's check it out. 13253. 13253. So that's a number station from M12. Let's check that out. 13253. I'm tuned up. Let's just go here to Preon and see what they have. So official shortwave radio at gmail.com if you want to join in. I'm just gonna do something that I've just noticed. Yeah. Let me just check it out here. 2030. Okay, 2030. Oh, it's CW. 13523. Oh, it's 13523. 13523. And CW. $13,523 in CW. In case of traffic, so maybe there's nothing happening right now. There's a couple of ones that we're going to try. At 2100, there's XPA2, the Russian number station. We're going to try the Russian number station. 21. There's another M12 also. There's, of course, HM01 from Cuba. We're going to check that out. We'll trace it. We'll trace some of these number stations and check it out. Check it out. So we're going to be checking that out for sure. Yeah, it's difficult when you don't have enough space to have an antenna. You know what? I've seen some people use Wellbrooks or the W6 LVP loop like I have successfully indoors. Actually, I've seen quite a few people have that and use them indoors quite successfully. Maybe that would be an option for somebody that has no balcony or no way to really have an outdoor antenna. Lee Burkett, nice to have you here. Says he's using his Radio Shack scanner. Pretty cool. Cool. Pretty cool. I'm going to check that out. Thanks for the link to number stations. Camilo Castillo, nice to have you on board from Panama. HP1AC. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? Buenos días. Hola. Desde Canada. Yes, Pleft Radio. I will actually be doing my top 10 of receivers that I don't have that I wish I would. I'll be posting that for sure. I think that's going to be interesting to check out. So let me just check here. So Todd Schmidt just trying out the email, and Todd is sharing a little something about his antenna. So let's see here. Sometimes all you need is a tree. Yeah, absolutely. Can you we're going to do something here. For some reason your picture doesn't want to open. And I don't know why. Oh, okay, I know why now. Sorry. You know when you accidentally press flight mode in your phone. Oh man. Here we go. We're back to normal. So here it goes. There we go. Pictures coming in. Wow, that is one tree, I can tell you that. Picture my antenna tower here in Milan. This tree is on the bank of the Rock River, and the property is always empty as there is nothing built here yet. This tree supports my long wire when I DX. Sometimes all you need is a tree. Look at that guy, guys, it's kind of cool. So this is his antenna tower. Good old tree here. That's always useful. I think everybody that does amateur radio stuff or shortwave listening, the first thing that you look at when you go somewhere is, okay, there's a tree over there, a tree over there. I can hang out my antennas. It's always kind of fun. Oh man. Yeah, Kiwi SDRs on the phone is pretty cool, absolutely. Imad Abbas says, I get UVB 76, or the Russian buzzer in Algeria on 4625. We're using his Texan S8800. Cool. So, like I said at Pleft Radio, I will have my top 10 video. This week I'm going to do a couple of top 10s. It's going to be a top 10 of of course, the radios I don't own, but I would like to, and I'm going to do a top 10 because I need it. I mentioned it, but I didn't do it yet. Top 10 weird shortwave signals. And somebody asked me, said, "Can you do the top 10, your top 10 favorite shortwave stations?" So I'll do the top 10 shortwave stations also. I kind of like that, and they're pretty popular. A lot of people enjoyed my top 10 lists. So it's pretty cool. Yep, Pleft Radio is in France. Dave Todd says he uses K3FEF SDR on his phone. Pretty cool. Yeah, Priam is an amazing website for the information. So on the email side of things, for those that have written in, I'm going to check something here. Check something here. So, okay. So I'll do a favor here. We have William Colin in Ireland that is asking to be unblocked. And because at some point he misbehaved. Let me try to find where you are in this list. I don't know where you are. I guess I can find you somewhere. Wow, I never noticed how many people I blocked here. I never went here to this list. Wow, crazy. Okay, where can I find where you are? Look, I'll do my best, and I'll try to get you back when I somehow find you in my list here. But I want to warn you, there's no, I'm giving you a second chance. There will be no more chances after that, because I'm not finding you right now. So anyways, when I find you, I'll we'll try to find you and activate you for the next show. Interesting. There's a lot of I had not been in that side of things in a long time. So anyways, well, I'll try to get you back if I can find you in the list of blocked people here. What else do we have? What else do we have? So Richard Cook has BPM time signal on 10 megahertz. That's from China. So pretty cool. In the emails, okay, so official shortwave radio at gmail.com. Those that are not in the chat and wish to say hi via email, we're going to work here. Official shortwave radio at gmail.com. So we've got an old friend here, Susan, that is in California, that says hello. Says, haven't written to you in a long time because you don't read your emails much during the show now. But it's nice to say hi and say that she's listening in. She says that she has been sick in the past few months, and that shortwave radio is a great way to actually spend some time and forget about health problems. So yes, indeed, it is a great way, and I hope you are okay. And she sends me hugs and kisses for you and Paul the cat. So thanks, Susan, and hope you get well better soon. And yes, absolutely, there is definitely some healing power in listening to the radio. Absolutely. We've got Francis, that is located in Florida, that says hello. Says, first time that I am writing in. Want to say that I love your videos, love your show. It's always amazing how your knowledge helps us all. He says, you've got an amazing memory. Every time someone posts a frequency, you're always there without even looking at lists, already knowing what we are listening to. I just find that so amazing. Thanks for all you do. It brought me back to shortwave and amateur radio. My radios were in the basement for the past 10 years. I stumbled upon one of your videos, and I got to say one thing, is that you are capable of bringing back the excitement that goes around radio. And I had lost that excitement, and I'm really happy to be back to amateur radio and to shortwave. Thanks for all you do. So pretty cool, pretty cool. Can you post the PayPal link in the chat room so I can actually send you a little something? Oh, wow. Okay, well, thanks, Francis. And so for those that want to do a donation, it's paypal.me/shortwave. Or if it doesn't work, you go to your PayPal account and send it to this very complicated Yahoo email address, and you can send me donations there if you enjoy what I do. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. And by the way, if you want to write back and give us your call sign, Francis, nice to have you here. And everybody's telling Susan to get well. I hope you do get better. And hang in there. Sometimes complicated. There's something weird here. Oh, I'm wondering why there's voices there. My Yisu is on. Channel 6 of the CB band, 27025. There's some skip. There's a lot of skip happening on channel 6, 27025. So pretty cool. Does anyone have the MFJ 1886 loop? I think somebody has. I kind of remember somebody talking about it and enjoying it. By the way, I saw a video this week of a guy. He compared the W6 LVP loop, which is an amplified magnetic loop that I got here, to the Wellbrook. That is also a very popular loop antenna, and in his findings, there's very little difference between both. So that means whatever you choose between the Wellbrook or the W6 LVP loop, they seem to perform similar and pretty well too. So that was kind of a nice, because I mean, these are expensive antennas, so to have somebody compare them in everyday use is something that's kind of interesting to look at. So he kind of finds that there's very little difference between both of them. Touchman says, I actually use shortwave to stay away from eating too much. Lost 35 pounds already. Replace snacking with shortwave. That's a good idea. I mean, every time you go to grab that box of cookies or that bag of chips or go to the fridge, you pick up the radio. Maybe I should try that trick and have radios everywhere. I'd probably have radios everywhere in the house. Every time I want to eat something, okay, I'm grabbing a radio. What's on shortwave? Well, we got to find ways to help. And I mean, it's crazy how difficult it is to lose weight, honestly. So congratulations on your 35 pounds. I did lose about 25, but I'm kind of stuck right now at that same weight for the past weeks. I need to continue. I want to continue because, there's points where sometimes for your health or just, the physical looks, you're like, yeah. Lee says, need new rechargeable batteries for a scanner. My old ones have lasted 2 years. 2 years isn't that old for rechargeable batteries. Usually batteries, a lot of the batteries, I would say the average age of rechargeable batteries that I use here before I depart, because I send them for recycling because they're no good, is at least 5 years. In my case, probably the average age is 5 or 6 or 7 years. I have rechargeables that are 10 years old here that still work, but they do over time get problems. They do last less. Of course, they have less of a of a life, of battery life as time goes by, and with every recharge. One of the things you got to be very careful with rechargeable batteries. Try to avoid the fast chargers. When the charger says, "Hey, your battery is going to be charged in 1 hour," because these put enormous stress on the batteries. And yeah, you got your batteries in an hour, but at the same time, it generated so much heat in the battery that it actually degrades the battery real fast. You're better off with, I got one here which is a 6-hour charge. 6 hours isn't too bad. It doesn't generate too much heat in the battery, and batteries last longer with those chargers. So you got to be careful not to overcharge them. Got to be careful not to charge them too fast, like I said, and be careful with that for sure. Bro Weaver, nice to have you here. Have you thought of posting videos on Dailymotion, a video site located in France? It is a video site of French-speaking world. I have an account of Dailymotion. I did post tech videos for a certain time on Dailymotion because I know Dailymotion also monetizes your videos. But I stopped at some point. One of the things that I don't like about Dailymotion is the way that it's done. The videos, for example, here on YouTube, the videos are going to be there for as long as YouTube exists as a platform, I guess. Where Dailymotion deletes videos that are older than a specific time, and I understand why, because Dailymotion wants to be at the forefront of new videos. Dailymotion wants to have new stuff all the time. So one way of doing that is to have your videos expire after a certain time. But the types of videos that I do, so when I did tech news, it was okay because tech news expires fast. But when you do some of the types of videos, like tutorials, you want these to stay online as long as possible. Actually, I should go back to Dailymotion. Maybe I've reached the threshold for some amount that they can send me. I haven't been to Dailymotion in at least a year and a half, if not 2 years. I need to go back and check it out. Maybe they have updated their their way of doing things also. Imad Abbas, am I optimistic about the future of shortwave? Well, I'll put it like this way, which is always the way that I put it. It's that shortwave is and will stay one of the important ways for people that are, in Asia and Africa to get news, to get information. It will maintain. There are regions of the world where this is important, where it's one of the only ways to get news. On the International Radio Report with Sheldon on Sunday mornings, we often talk about how journalists are killed in their duties, and how stations get shut down because the governments aren't happy with what they are saying. Well, you know what? Shortwave is cool for that because it doesn't have borders. You're not going to stop a shortwave signal at the border. It's still going to go through. So the BBC and Radio France and all of these major broadcasters, they know it, and they know it, and they know it because they maintain services to these countries. They know that it's important to do so. So yes, I am optimistic about it for that reason, that there will always, and when I die in 100 years from now, I'm convinced there's going to be some shortwave stations on the air, because some areas of the world need it. Where it is more complicated, and that's why it's dark. I was wondering why it's dark. I forgot to turn on that light. I was like, it's darker than usual. You get the feel. So anyways, I think the only thing is regions like North America. That's where it's complicated, because like North America, we are washed in the internet and all the news sources and stuff. So there's a lot of the stations, after a while, they kind of go with, I don't see why we should maintain a international service of some sort. And because frankly, in North America, shortwave listening is probably, it is on the decline, probably because of many, many reasons. First are the amount of outlets of news and information we have. But, it's, but certain areas of the world will still have shortwave. It's an easy way an inexpensive way for a lot of people that don't have anything to listen to radio. And I think there is a future for shortwave still. Robert Prosper, why do so many CB operators feel compelled to sound like truckers from the 70s? You know what? I think it's a style. They keep that style because it's that way of that hobby, the way that the hobby feels like and is like. So they just kind of, just do that, and that's it. Yesterday evening, there was some skip. I think for 2 hours there was this guy on channel 6 that was like doing na 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 hey goodbye, and he just did that for like at least 2 hours every 2 minutes. I was like, really? That's all you do? Really? And I think I heard him some point say he was in Virginia or something. I was like, really? You're losing your time doing that? Hey, David Arden, nice to have you here, my friend. And yes, we have 125 right now. So, no problem, Brent. Loops are nice. And they're smaller in size also at the same time. Zachary Antle says, took me about a year to lose 70 pounds from 225 to 160. Cool. Yeah, I know, Robert. I used to bike a lot, and I didn't bike this year at all. I do need to bike, absolutely. Todd Schmidt, about charging. My wife tells me my Qi wireless charger will ruin my iPhone battery. I don't believe her. What do you know about that? No, the Qi wireless charger is not going to ruin everything that's wireless charger. Everything that is a charger for your smartphones, that will not ruin the battery, because these batteries in the phones are intelligent batteries. They have a chip. These batteries condition themselves. So the difference between a lithium-ion battery and a regular, regular nickel metal hydrate or nickel cadmium rechargeables like AA's, is that the AA batteries that we use in regular radios or devices, they don't have any regulation within themselves. So the regulation and the way that they charge is entirely dependent on the charger that you're using. So if you buy a cheap charger that charges in an hour and that charger doesn't have the correct voltages, what's going to happen is that those batteries will be ruined really, really fast, because the charge is too high, and if they get overloaded, because you might take a rechargeable battery out of the charger and it's supposed to be at 1.2 volts, then you check it out and it's 1.6. Well, that's overcharging it. So basically what happens is that it actually will ruin the battery really fast, because it doesn't work well. So in regular batteries, that's what's happening. The charger, if the charger's no good or overloads in power or charges too fast, it ruins the batteries. In a phone, your iPhone, I use a charger for this too, wireless charger. Whatever charger you put on this thing is regulated. So the battery in here, and the battery, any lithium-ion battery, has its own chip and regulation of power. And they have to, because lithium-ion batteries are different. You can overcharge a nickel-cadmium battery or an NiMH, a nickel metal hydride battery, and it's gonna degrade fast, but nothing really bad is gonna happen most of the time. A lithium-ion battery, if you overcharge it, will literally explode and catch fire, because they contain a lot more energy compressed in a very small amount of space. And the cells are separated by very, very thin layers. So it's easy to break that layer because of heat, because of overcharging, which makes the battery swell. So these need to be regulated on their own. It's the only way they can stay safe. So your iPhone battery, my Samsung phone battery, any phone battery, any lithium-ion battery actually regulates itself and shuts down the charge when it sees that it's reached a certain level. So that wireless charger will not ruin your iPhone battery at all. It doesn't work like that. The battery is auto-regulated. It shouldn't have any problems. Usually when the battery doesn't last in the phone, it's the battery itself that's the problem, not the charge. Damien Allier, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. No problem, Lee, on the info on the batteries. Nigel Lawrence, nice to have you here. Do you know of any mods for the Radio Shack DX302? Like this off of hard, no, not really. But I recall seeing a website that had some mods for the Radio Shack DX300 and DX302. Ernie Turner, nice to have you here from Australia. VK3DET. And we have somebody from the future. He's on Saturday morning. Nice to have you here. And Lair Nigel Lawrence is G0MEJ from North England. Pretty cool to have you here. So yeah, we got a 15967. That's 15967 here, and see if we can hear. Yeah, it's there. Look at that. 15967 XPA2, which is a Russian number station that sends polytones. 15967. It's kind of nice. So 15967 upper sideband. This comes from Russia. It's a Russian number station. Frustrated Habs fan. Oh man. Yeah, well, you know, Robert Prosper, I think even English will still have some broadcasts, but it's just that, you know, of course they'll use the languages that are more popular in the areas where they are actually going to broadcast. Damiani, what about special 27 megahertz? What do you mean, Damien? Medina Mike, nice to have you on board from Western New York. Hot sunny day. Yeah, pretty hot sunny day here too. Glenn says he's got more news from Shortwave. So here we go. They're sending their coded message. Chris Freitas, nice to have you here from North Fort Myers, Florida. Pretty cool to have you on board. Let me check something here. I have the time. Curious to compare this signal on the sloper. So here is W6 LVP loop. And some fades. And here is, it's actually really good on the sloper with the Yisu. Look at that. Really nice on the Yisu. So that's 15967 Russian XPA2 number station. That's sending out its, here we go, it's going to end. Here we go. It just ended. Robert Prosper. So for shortwave broadcasting to the first world audience to work, the programming has to offer something that is not available via established mass media. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Todd Schmidt trucker is used to use linears. Yeah, of course, a lot of these CBers use crazy power. Absolutely. Crazy power. Yeah, Riffus Newt, lithium ion are very, very explosive when shorted. And actually, if you have these 18650 batteries in your XH data radio or whatever, you can't short them. When they go over a certain level of current, the circuit shuts down the battery. so that it doesn't, because it could explode. Todd, you'll be happy to show your wife. She's still not going to believe it. Shady Pyro 90, nice to have you here. Page Master, nice to have you on board from Moore, Oklahoma, KI5CWF, WA5136SWL. Rufus Newt at 15967 Loud in QTH Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Pretty cool. Yep, physically damaged lithium-ion battery can be very dangerous. Absolutely, they are very, very dangerous batteries. Really, really crazy. So, there was M12 on 10767. Is it still there? Let me just check it out of curiosity. Probably stopped. I think there's HM01 Cuban Lady. Yeah, HM01 is here. Oh. It stopped right smack in the middle of the numbers. I was about to tune in. Some transmitter issues. Even number stations have problems. Touchmit, she just asked me how many shortwaves I own today, and my answer was many, but they all function differently. You use one to scan, one to record, one to listen, and one for the road, one for a backup. You never have too many shortwave. Maglone, nice to have you on board, my friend. Medina Mike is having a Michelob Ultra. The beer is going down too easy. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you're just drinking and it's like, it's just go with the flow. Ernie says it's wet and cold in Australia where he is at the moment. Yes, you guys are in winter, absolutely. Here it's hot summer weather, almost 90 Fahrenheit. So but you know, we'll soon enough be there when it's going to start getting cold and snowy. PLF Radio has got 15967 also with the XH Data D808. Cool. Max Edstrong, nice to have you on board from Michigan. 26DX59, nice to have you here. I was watching one of your videos today on my iPhone. I saw a few videos of different people today. Matt, NDK2, nice to have you on board. No, Paul the Cat is outside right now, so he's not here to be seen for the moment. David Arden, the Russian, just said to listen to Jill on YouTube. Yeah, that maybe. Unpopcom says 15967 week in Pennsylvania on his PL 880. Kevin, Jane Apollo, nice to have you here from Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. WS2H, nice to have you on board. Madam Bali, some poor spy standing in the middle of the street wondering which way to turn. In the middle of the forest. Ramon Vargas, nice to have you here. Any news about Radio Australia on shortwave frequencies? Nope, they're not going to come back. Let's face it, it's been way too long now that it happened, and they are going to stay off the air. There's still some stuff to listen to from Australia. There's that station 5045 kilohertz, so you can still listen to that. There's a few utility transmissions from Australia that are still there, so there's a few things like that. But our best way of getting news now from the Pacific region is really Radio New Zealand. That's taken on this, the job, basically. Rufus Newt says, warm weather, cold beer, cheers. Cheers. Media Mike, nice to have you on board from Adelaide, South Australia. And he's quite enjoying this. Cool. Nice to have you here. For those that still wonder, because I get that message from time to time, yeah, I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So this is where I am. And let's check the email a little bit, see if somebody is written in. So Kenny Wilson has just written in saying, CQ from Northern Ireland. Loving the show and just thought I'd show you my station. The desktop is a Linux machine running GQRX SDR software with RSP1A on a long wire. The main radio is the ICOM 7300 on a G5 RV. X-Stage data for portable shortwave listening, and UBC 125 XLT handheld scanner for local VHF UHF comms, and Jawbox gin brewed in Belfast. Very nice stuff. Oh, kind of interesting. I've found a gin that has been from here in Quebec, and it's made with some herbs that are in the northern part of the province. Very good also. I need to check that out. Jawbox gin. So cool. And here, guys, here's the beautiful setup of our friend here with a little tablet that has my face in it. So look at that, guys. That's kind of cool. That's a kind of a cool setup, ain't it? I like the illuminated keyboard. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thanks for saying hi. And pretty cool stuff here, Kenny. Nice to have you here, Ken. Thanks again for sending us a little email. So don't hesitate if you're watching and you don't want to, you're not in the chat room for some reason. You can write in on official. You just send the email to officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com, and hey, we'll show your shack, or you just, whatever message you have for us. Please say hi. Say hi. We got people from all over the world watching, which is really nice, and always a big pleasure to be here. Richard Cook says, Voice of Korea also on 11/6/35. Magellan says, staying in the AC, very hot here in Southwest Florida. Yeah, pretty much doing the same here in Montreal on AC also. Pleft Radio has Shannon Volment from Ireland, 5505 upper sideband. Still a little early here for that. I'll try it, but it's a little early. Wonder if I can get the Royal Air Force 11253. Yeah, nothing much here. Dave Todd, what happened to WBCQ 9330? They were extremely strong here till about a week ago. So, WBCQ is not coming back on 9330 before August, apparently. What is happening is that the guy that is that Egyptian billionaire that is paying for all of this, and that is behind the World's Last Chance group, wasn't happy with the fact that he couldn't hear the station really well over there, and kind of said, look, if you wanna have me continue paying, that's pretty much what happened, continue paying for that, we need to be heard better. You need to be heard better here. So what they are doing is they're tweaking and playing around with the antenna, and they will activate frequencies apparently on 11, 15, and 17 megahertz range when they come back. So that's going to be interesting. I've noticed that on their webpage they've announced 15180. They are using an old transmitter that I believe the old 9330 kilohertz transmitter is reaffected to 6160, and you can try it right now. 6160. Yeah, it's pretty much there. So WBCQ is there right now. So that's WBCQ on 6160. 6160. And they are testing out on that frequency. They've been testing all week. Hey, the report of the week. Hello there, my friend from Central Florida. Really cool to have you on board, and need to brush up on my listening to the report of the week. Always a fun listen. It's always a great program. Really, really nice. Really, really nice. Laird Nigel Lawrence, what is amateur radio call sign? If you're asking my call sign, I don't have a call sign because I'm not a ham radio operator. But amateur radio operators have a call sign because they can, transmit. So they can actually use that amateur radio call sign and transmit on the amateur bands, if that's the question. David in Barcelona, Spain, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Nice to have you on board. Yeah, you need to have those QSL cards. You need to have those QSL cards. What else do we have? Bobby says 9690 still missing. What's the deal? Maybe they have transmitter problems. Are the other frequencies working for Spain? 12030, yeah, 12030 is there. But look, 12030 is there, like last week, with no audio. I think they're having some difficulties. They have some transmitter problems. They're really having some transmitter problems. That's all I can see. Let me just check here. We have XBA2 coming up, guys, in 4 minutes on 13884. So that's the Cuban number that we heard earlier, 13884 upper sideband. So I'm gonna just put myself there, put a little bit of volume, park on that frequency, and we'll do a double. There's M12 on 10167. I'll put the Yisu on that one. 10167. 10167. In CW mode. 10167. Let's just put fast. Here we go. So we will have 2 radios. One tuned to, that's kind of cool, to see if I hear M12 CW, and the other one on XBA2 in USB. So we'll be checking that out. And there's another XBA2 a little later on 12217. So in just a couple of minutes, we'll see what we can hear. What else do we have? Mike C. Nice to have you here, Mike. KC0EHF in St. Louis, Missouri. The only shortwave stations I can receive at this time is 10 kilohertz and 12030 from Spain. Yeah, it's still, you're west of me, so you're still not in the prime time of listening to the best shortwave. But it's we got to do what we got to do. Chris Freitas says, I can attest to the heat here in Southwest Florida and more irritated with the constant storms. Yeah. Page Master says, I just sent you a letter at your e-address. Look for the subject 13 colonies. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is cool. The 13 colony stuff. Oh, look at that. This is cool. So these are the different stations that he actually had. So look at that, guys. 13 Colonies was an event that happened a couple of weeks back. So our friend here has some nice little QSL stuff here. The last one is upside down, but kind of cool. Really nice stuff here. Really nice stuff here. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing with us. This is nice. And we'll continue checking that out. So I'm not hearing anything on 13884 right now. Not sure if we will. We'll see if we hear some Morse code coming off of the Yaesu here. Branson W, nice to have you here, Branson. What is your opinion on the Yaesu FT450? I'm considering buying, but I don't. Oh, here it is. Here it goes. 13884 upper sideband, Russian number station. 13884 upper sideband. As for M12, nothing heard. So, XP82, Russian number station. So, my opinion of the Yaesu FT450 is it's pretty good. It's a really good receiver with its DSP and everything. If I had two negatives on it, it would be kind of a little muffled audio because of the DSP and the way it works. So the audio isn't always kind of nice. It's a little harsh or something a little muffled. It's kind of weird sounding. But it is a great radio. It is very sensitive. The other negative I would have on it is the lack of a keypad to enter punch-in frequencies. But that said, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been tuning it. It has enough interesting ways of tuning around the bands by jumping into different bands, and the up and down the band, the tuning can be really fast. So it's not that much of a problem. Like, you know, I would say that when you get used to it, you probably go to a frequency that's fast on the Yaesu. Using the tuning capabilities that it has as punching in a frequency, but there's no no keypad, so it could in some cases be a little annoying, but it isn't that bad, honestly, even though there's no keypad. But overall, it's a great radio. I'm very happy to have it. Yeah, empty carrier on 12030, Richard. Absolutely. David says, Joel, you know, you need your own call sign. I want to QSO you before the year is over, and you definitely want my cool QSL card. We will, my friend. But it is very, very sensitive radio, the Yaesu 450. What does the app called Zello? What's Zello? That rings a bell, but I don't remember what that is. Zello. Oh, PTT walkie-talkie, the walkie-talkie app, Zello. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just saw it now. What else do we have here? Yeah, old transceivers make great shortwave receivers. Absolutely. Absolutely. John McClure, nice to have you here, my friend. Todd Schmidt, what's on 607 in Toronto? Can't hear it on SDR servers or receive it here. Yeah, I heard it this morning. So 13884, we just heard XP82. Let's check out if I hear CFRX. And here's CFRX with a pretty good signal, actually. So CFRX Toronto. So CFRX Toronto. So that is an example. That's on the loop, and if I tried here on the Yaesu 6070 mode AM, So you hear it on the sloper, but like how noisy it is, you barely hear the voice in the noise. But even with a lower signal there, I get more audio. I can actually understand what they're talking about. So that's an example where the loop actually wins over my sloper. Richard Cook has M12 hearable. I heard nothing on M12. Run Popcom had 13884 down in the grass here in Pennsylvania. Pretty cool. What else do we have? What else do we have? PageMaster Hazel, I like to send you my shortwave QSL card for this transmission, even though it is not a shortwave radio. Cool. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. Take care, Pleft Radio. Nice to have you on board. As usual, next show will be next week, August. It's incredible. It'll be what, August 2nd already? This is crazy. It is crazy. Sad boy, what am I doing? Listening to shortwave radio with a bunch of guys. And tuning in to shortwave bands, listening to international broadcasts. So, kind of cool. Ray Ernig, nice to have you here, my friend. Just quick listen on last night of Holiday and Coralejo Fuerteventura. All set on the hotel room balcony. Cool. And back in the UK tomorrow. Cool. Enjoy what's left of your vacation. Medina Mike says CFRX always coming good here, just 40 miles across the lake. You probably have the ground wave. Andy Coley, nice to have you here, says we do miss the VHF UHF show. Yeah, I know. Well, they're gonna come back. I'm in the process of reactivating that show. So hang in there. Hey Jean-Marc, take care. Go have a beer at the bar. Take one for me. Always nice to have you here. Dutchman, I know I keep asking, but I'm sure you know about the Texan 2000 GT. Is it really a Grundig? I want a nice bass receiver. Yeah, they aren't. You know, you got to be careful because Grundigs today aren't Grundigs. Okay? And that's something to understand. Grundigs that are today available are really not Grundigs. They are Chinese radios that that support that Grundig name because it's such an important name because of, you know, it rings quality. I mean, when you have something that has the Grundig brand, you immediately think that it's immediately think that it's quality, and that's the problem with the Grundig branding right now. That it's kind of crazy, you know. You're not really sure what you buy. That said, the Texan S2000, from what I've seen, seems to be an okay radio. But I've never tried it myself. Richard Cook says, Pyongyang on 11680. What do I hear on 11680? Absolutely nothing here. Nothing at all. We're still at, oh, Cuban Ladies back on 11635. And KNLS from Madagascar. KNLS from Madagascar, 11610 coming in. So, hey guys, you're listening in and watching the Shortwave Radio Show. So, two things of interest. If you're watching, but you're not in the chat room, send an email to officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com. I'll read your letter, your email on the air. Say hi. Tell us where you are located, and give a little history if you're listening to radio or you're an amateur radio operator. And at the other end of the scale, if you like what I do, paypal.me/shortwave. Or you can send any donations to the Yahoo email that you see here. Think about this as, kind of a subscription thing. I'm here every Fridays. We have this live show, and you guys enjoy it a lot. I mean, think about the fact that it would not be here anymore. That would be sad. And of course, I'm not saying anything with that. But what I mean is, you got, it's fun to have support and help out. I've got a lot of equipment to buy. I've got, an inexpensive internet bill. So you can send it to paypal.me/shortwave or to the Yahoo email that you see there. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers. And there you can kind of give a little something every month automatically, so you don't have to think about it, and join 11 patrons that I have that give me a little something every month. Thanks for the donations, guys. It really, really helps a lot. And don't forget, guys, send me anybody that's not in that's not in the chat room, want to say hi. officialshortwaveradio@gmail.com is a great way to say hi. Richard Cook says, Voice of Korea English 13760. I'll try it, even though I have no hope. I always talk about how it's important to try whatever transmission. There's something here on 13670. Isn't that the Voice of America? 13670, 13670, 13670. I think that's Voice of America, right? 13670. Yeah, Voice of America, 2130 to 2200 from Greenville, North Carolina, and this is to broadcast to West Africa. And we are going to prepare ourselves for XPA2, another transmission from the Russian number station on 12217. 12217 in a few minutes' time. We'll be checking that out. Mad Radio DXer says, Jill, abandoning the Hangout is like Radio Canada International leaving shortwave. Medina Mike, yes, it is in the plans. I'm waiting for the perfect setting, but there will be, absolutely, a live show coming out of some DXpedition for sure. There will also be, like Sheldon has just posted, I will be at the Canadian International DX Club Barbecue Saturday, August 17th, and we will have another live show from that event in August from Greenfield Park, Quebec. So that will be an event coming up on Saturday, August 17th. So I'll be live from there also, but I am planning to do some live show coming from one of, maybe Perry Island or something, and doing a live show from there for sure. What else do we have? Ray Kelly, nice to have you on board from Nova Scotia, Canada. Yeah, I saw that, Jerry. Russian slow scan TV coming up. The only problem is they're using times that are only for Europe. And you know, around Moscow, unfortunately. It won't be audible here in North America at the times that they're going to do it. PageMaster, yes, it does pay to read the user manual in SDR Uno software. There's a lot of stuff to learn. I gotta do some some videos on it. A lot of people are asking me to do videos on some settings and stuff, for sure. So I need to do videos for that, for sure. What else do we have? Driver from Shortwave. I say, have you here? Only 10 watts. Might upgrade my license at some point. Yeah, I need to. Oh, okay. There should be a International Space Station SSTV on August 1 to 4th. Okay, I'm gonna check that out because I might want to talk about it, and I might want to talk about it also on the International Radio Report. We'll be checking that out for sure. Mickey Delmage, I would like to remember fellow CIDX editor and friend to many CIDXer Larry Shuchuk, who passed away 18 years ago today. Larry was a great radio guy and broadcaster, including reports at SWL Digest. Shannon Harvey says, out-of-town guests at the barbecue this year will be Eric Cottrell, John Fisher, Brian Penny, all from Massachusetts, Mike Brooker from Toronto, and of course, it'll be nice to see you at the barbecue also, Mickey, and it'll be nice to see all of you. It's always nice to see everybody that's radio related. Really, really cool. Really, really cool. Medina Mike, sound good. Save me a rib and a hot dog. Will be hot dogs and hamburgers. Sheldon is a excellent chef. Making the barbecue, the hamburgers are always good. So I'm going to check that out for the SSTV. Thanks for that, Matt. August 1 to 4. I need to check the info. Richard Cook has Mali 5995 coming in, not too bad, pretty cool. Andy Coley says next Tuesday W5KUB is doing a show about shortwave listening and the history of ham radio. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Check that out. That is always fun to have. You know, it's always fun to have radio-related events and information and stuff. Always really, really cool for that. I mean, there's so much to be learned. There's so much, and everybody has its own take on the way that they explain stuff or talk about different stuff. It's always kind of nice. So, hey, you guys, you want to hear another XP82 Russian number station thing? 12217. 12217, upper sideband. Let's see if we can hear that one. 12217, upper sideband. So let's check out the email as we're waiting for 12217. So just go down here. Oh, that's cool. There's a so we have a email from so the email's in French from a guy named Michel, and he's located in the Saguenay area, so just kind of north from northeast in the province of Quebec. So he says that this is the third time he's been watching and really been enjoying the live shows. He wished there would be an equivalent French language show that I could do. Then he says, be sure that be popular, even with some of the listeners and amateur radio operators out in France. Yeah, I get asked that a lot to do a French side to this. Maybe I should think about it, honestly. So he says that he started listening to Shortwave in 1979, and that he remembers that I was part of the COCQ, le Club en Côte du Québec, not the Canadian, Club en Côte du Québec. And he says he remembers when I actually did the logging column. And he said that he wondered at some point what I was doing, if I was still doing some shortwave. And he says about a month and a half ago, he stumbled upon the first show, live show. And it kind of put one and one together. And kind of thought that I was probably the guy that also was at the COCQ, Quebec Radio Club. So, hey Michel, nice to have some news et bienvenue. Toujours un plaisir d'avoir des amis francophones. Et merci d'avoir écrit. So we're here every Fridays, 2000 UT. So 12217 is there. I can hear it. It's not the best one was 15 megahertz. So 15 megahertz was really, really good. What else do we have? Chris Freitas says, well, the Trouble 3 has no BFO. I am receiving the Russian number station. Yeah, because you must be at least receiving kind of the signal, the way, I don't know how it sounds in AM mode. You don't hear the tones, but you can kind of discern the pattern coming from it, for sure. Many-Nomite, 12217, very strong in Buffalo. Sheldon Harvey, no, it was not Michel Baron. At first I kind of looked twice, but it's not Michel Baron. It's another Michel. But you're right, he was in the Saguenay area. He was in Chicoutimi, I think, right? I think Michel Baron was in Chicoutimi. Kind of interesting. I wonder these people where they are. One that I know passed away is André Emelin. That was one of the, he was always at all the events, shortwave events every year. And the last time I had spoken to him was about maybe like 15 years ago. Because I was in a shopping mall and I recognized him, and I remember he was sick and it didn't go very well, and then I got an email from what was his name? I'm trying to remember his name. And it was that was one of the guys that was also very, very active with the club at the end. And telling me that he had passed away, that they were kind of friends and they were talking all the time. But there's these people sometimes that you're kind of wondering who and what happened to some of them. Actually, I have no more. I wish I should have kept some of them. I have no more COCQ bulletins here. I was a member that club for maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 years before I just said to hell with it, because I just couldn't cope with them anymore. So, but it's kind of interesting, you know. Sometimes wonder what people, you know, you meet in radio clubs, and you and me, Sheldon, have kind of been off and on seeing each other over time for different reasons, and now, of course, we see each other every week. But a lot of the guys that I've, you know, there are some people that I know are still active, because I hear their names in some mailback shows in French. One of the guys from New Brunswick, I think is something like Gérard Goulet or something like that. Radio Romania reads emails, his letters or emails that he sends probably once a month. There are a couple of guys in France that were members of the club that also I hear on some regular mailback shows from French language transmissions. So some of them are still active and are still listening to Shortwave. There's the page, one of the members that was active also, cool. Oh man, what was his name? There's a guy in France that has this list of French language transmissions. He was very active at the COCQ also. Oh man, I'm trying to remember his name. French language, shortwave, schedules. What's this? I'm trying to remember. I didn't go to this page in a long time. I hope it still maintains that French language page. Trying to remember his name. Darn it. So, but you know, you wonder all the time. So, yeah, Dominique Duplessis. Dominic tried to revive the club with me. He wanted me to help him kind of revive the club and everything. But with the experience I had with that club, I was more into, I don't care whatever happens to the club. I didn't want to go back in there. I didn't want to do anything. And you know what it is running a club also, Sheldon. You know that there's just a bunch of guys doing all the work and nobody else does anything. So you end up, you know, I remember thinking, do I really want to end up having to do all of that work for a club that I don't care anymore? I mean, I was really happy when I learned that they existed. It was kind of fun to have, you know, a Quebec province club. It was like, you know, the Ontario DX Association and so on. There's, you know, CIDX is Canadian, even though I would call it CIDX, call it international pretty much. But, you know, each province having their clubs was kind of cool also. But, I mean, I didn't care. I didn't want to take on that responsibility of really having all of that work. I thought about it for like 2 seconds and I thought, nope, don't want to be there. But yeah, Dominique, I remember, he's the last guy. He was very enthusiastic. He had revived a page on the internet for the Club on Côte du Québec. And man, I wonder what these people are all now. Kind of interesting. Pirate on 6285, says Richard Cook. Yeah, Rivet to decode the tones and numbers. Of XPA2. Max S. Strong really enjoyed the live barbecue show I did last year. It was great hearing everyone's story about their shortwave experiences. Very cool. Yes, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do, and it's fun to meet these people and have everybody's, you know, stories on how they started and what they do and so on. Take care, Imad Abbas. See you next week. Matambali just heard some hail on 12217. Yeah, this is Michel Baron, Sylvain de Selle. Yeah. Kind of a Roger R. Roussel, I hear him. He's also from New Brunswick. I hear him on mailback shows regularly. Jean Desbiens, I've heard a few times. Kind of weird. I need to check out. I probably have a couple of COCQ bulletins here lying around in the box. I would need to try to find that. These old pages that are probably not even maintained anymore. Oh, look at that. You're right. Look at that. Ale. I'm also hearing it Matambale. Kind of interesting. And you know, wondering where all these people are actually gone. Matt says, East Coast listeners reporting Yemen Radio on 6925. Let's check it out, 6925. Anything here? Yes, definitely very weak something. Very weak here, but I definitely hear a little something in the noise. 6925.4. Gabriel Escobar, hola, ¿cómo está? Medina Mike said, I'm going to put some foot-long hot dogs on the grill. Made me hungry. Have a good night. Have a great. I'm making barbecues on the bar. I'm making barbecues. I'm making hamburgers on the barbecue tonight. I did a carbonara pasta yesterday. It was really to die for. And we'll have hamburgers on the barbecue tonight on the grill, for sure. Oh, man. David Green, nice to have you on board. Dropped in late, but I have a legit shortwave question. I bought a sealed lead-acid battery to power a loop, and I have followed through in every way except hooking it to the loop. Okay. So what is the question? Okay, I'm scared. I'm going to electrocute myself, and I can't decide if I'm going to through with it. I think I understand the process, but I just can't get over the fear. Okay, first of all, you won't get electrocuted with a sealed lead acid 12-volt battery, really. What is probably the most Sheldon. What is probably the most the biggest problem will be to make sure that you don't invert the polarity, because you got to make sure that you don't actually invert the current, because you'll just zap the loop and it won't work anymore. But don't be scared. Just make sure that you do it right. Just make sure that you are going to put the correct polarity, you know. For the rest, there's no danger with a lead acid battery to get electrocuted or anything. Voltage is too low for that. And even if you would feel something, you'd have to have your hands wet. And at the worst, you'll feel a little pinch where you touch the battery, but it won't electrocute you. Not 12 volts. So you don't have to be scared about it. Like I said, the biggest thing is to make sure you don't, reverse the polarity. That would destroy your antenna. And just be careful with that, because you don't want to zap your antenna. Richard Cook has China National Radio, very strong on 4800, but annoying data bursts often. Refresh neutral, my shortwave buddies, barbecue, burgers, beer, and Tiger Cats football. Perfect Friday night. Oh man. Monglone says, I gave up on political clubs and volunteer activities, too burned out. Yeah, because, it's always the same thing with clubs. And, I mean, I always say, I tell Sheldon how I admire the hard work that he puts into all of these activities, because he doesn't just have the radio side of things. He's got so many things going on in there. There's bird club activities and so on. It's just crazy. That guy doesn't stop, and I'm amazed all the time, because it's the same everywhere. I mean, every time you have an activity, a club, whatever, you'll be almost the only one to do things, and nobody else does work or helps out. It's like the International Radio Report on Sunday mornings. Honestly, the work, a lot of the work is Sheldon's work. When I got into the show, the first thing I wanted to do is, I don't want to be a leech that just shows up and talks in a microphone. Because there's some people that are, but every week I try to find some news items, and if there's not enough news items, I want to be there and participate and have something to say, so that I can take some of that inner energy that Sheldon has to give off of his shoulders a little bit. I am going to the show to participate and offer something, not just sit down and read the weather. But that's not a comment. Oh man. Yes, let's talk about something else now. Oh God. Oh man. Yeah, no problem, David Green. There's no danger there. Page Master used to be a battery technician for 5.5 years. That includes knowing how build them per cell in groups. All types of batteries were included. So cool. But going to anything that is a volunteer effort is always complicated. And one of the things also, like Max Headstrong says, is that also the problem with being a volunteer of these organizations is that not only are you not paid, not only are you working your ass off, but there's always those people that aren't happy and always kind of rant. And at some point you're like, yeah, you know what? Why don't you take my chair and do what I do, and I'll rant and tell you what you're doing is, junk or whatever. Yeah, that's what I did. Like Mad Radio DXer says, I tested my W6 LVP loop with a 12 volt lead acid battery, because I wanted to make sure that the power supply included didn't induce noise, and it doesn't. The power supply included is actually really good. And all I did is use my multimeter, and I checked out the polarity. I knew that, you know, center negative, outer shield positive. Just wanted to make sure that, you know, I didn't reverse, so I used my multimeter to make sure that what I had done was right before I plugged it in. Because the worst part is not being electrocuted with a 12-volt battery. The worst part and the saddest part would be to ruin your antenna because of the you know, ruin the antenna because of the bad polarity. That would make you sad. Martin Ballet, we know you guys do the international radio report because chicks dig radio, guys. Yeah, I wish. I wish. Oh, God. What else do we have? Matt NDKT says, reminder to interested parties, the WWV 100th anniversary is coming up. Special amateur station WW0WWV will be on the HF ham band to celebrate. It goes on the air 28th of September at 0 UT. Oh, this is nice. This is going to be interesting to listen to. What's the hottest place on the planet today? It's this room, because it's the Shortwave show, Sheldon. You know, for some reason, Sheldon, I always now have that Dome A Antarctica where it's always minus 80 or something. Dome A Antarctica. Yeah. It's interesting because I did the weather a couple of times, and I actually took the time to at least learn what Dome A Antarctica was. I guess I don't just want to read the weather. I just want to add something to it. God. Max Headstrong. Just make a recording of 2 phrases. Thank you, and I'm sorry. It'll work 99% of the time, but it does get old. Chris Alpha Tango. Nice to have you here. Yeah, been a long time, man. 2AT102 11 meter pirate station. What frequency? What frequency? Take care, Sheldon. Have a great barbecue. Duck breast with orange, honey, and garlic marinade. With bok choy and soy sauce, garlic, and ginger. Okay. I'm taking the bus and going to barbecue at Sheldon's tonight. Take care, guys. Have a great evening, Sheldon. And that sounds really good. I'm having hamburgers. Take care. See you Sunday morning. And I'll be checking for some stories for Sunday also, in case you don't have a lot of stuff to talk about. So take care. See you Sunday morning, Sheldon. Always a pleasure to have you on board. Oh, on 27555. Let's go on 27555 and see if there's anything there. I'm gonna keep an eye on 27555 here. Max says strong. I struggle with my radio weirdness, but now I just accept it. Yep. I just heard somebody mention Canada on 27555. I just heard somebody mention Canada on 27555. Kind of interesting. Anybody out there do these 27555 stuff? Why not give a call on 27555? I'm going to stay there and listen for a few minutes. Yep, 27555, by the way, is the international calling frequency. Absolutely. So usually tuned to 27555 upper sideband. $26DX59DX or me. You. So Max Strong just cracked open.
Here is 9 Alpha Tango 124, 9AT124, and QSY 560 for contact.
You guys heard that? $27,555. Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. Let's stay parked here a little bit. Who knows? Maybe somebody's gonna jump on frequency and say, "Hey, hi, that guy in Canada on YouTube." So, little self-promotion for the last time. If you like what I do, don't hesitate to give a little donation. It helps me tremendously in paying the high internet bill, the lighting systems, the computers, and so paypal.me/shortwave or the Yahoo email. And it's always nice to get a little donation to kind of help out and make sure that, kind of a way of saying, hey, I like what you do, thanks for everything you do. It's always nice. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Why are they contesting on 27555? What contest is it? It's not a contest, Bro Weaver. 27555 is a calling frequency. So basically, what they will do is go there, call CQ to get other stations, and will mention a frequency that they're going to move to. So that's where you're going to have a contact with them. So it's not a contest. It's really out-of-band CBers trying to get contacts. It's funny because, sometimes you got to be careful. There are people that you sometimes you hear on the ham bands, and there's one guy that is on the 80-meter band almost every night, and he just lives up north from the city of Montreal here. And one day I'm tuned to 27555. Technically, it's illegal to transmit there because it's not an official CB band or anything. You shouldn't be there technically. And I hear a voice that I recognize, and I'm like, hey, that's the ham guy that's on 80 meters every night calling on 27555. And I'm like, okay, that could be. No, I got to be careful, because I was thinking, wow, if somebody would really want to, kind of rub it in, they easily could have just oh, well, we're gonna, create some problems, and the guy's not allowed to broadcast on that frequency. We really got to be careful with this. I can tell you that. Yeah, freebanders. Yes, we still call them freebanders, pretty much. Absolutely. Matt says, I was working Alabama and Georgia on 6-meter FT8 earlier today. Got someone in Mexico on that band yesterday. Good skip, but I'd love to work another continent. Yeah, the East Coast was really having contacts with Europe today was like kind of crazy. Joe Sabourin, nice to have you here, my friend. Calling to QSY 560. So let's. There's a strong station that was, I believe, on 560. There's somebody really loud on 560. Let's try it out. Chicken vendors. Both Frog 89, KD2CXU, nice to have you on board from Watertown, New York. And I am well. Yeah, lots of licensed hams actually go there, for sure. For sure. Radio Romania English 7310, says Richard Cook in the UK. Yeah, there must be a website for that for sure. The Care Brand 73, always nice to have you on board. AI4QT, nice to have you on board, my friend, from Rocket City, Huntsville, Alabama. Nice to have you here, my friend. 26DX59 says he's been on 11 meters for 40 years. I need to get there. Chris Alpha Tango says, yes, I am free. Mr. Lucky Train, nice to have you on board, my friend. Joseph Sabourin, Potash Lake, Ontario, just retired and always wanted to listen in, so picked up in ICOM IC7300 and struck up a G5 RV in the backyard, and I can't get outside. Yeah, because you start listening and you just get all, I still remember that night, that first night. Actually, I'll put it larger. I still remember that first month that I discovered shortwave, and it was the summertime. I just stayed in. I was always inside tuning to the radio because I just was so amazed. It's like summer didn't exist anymore outside. It was like my radio was everything. It was just crazy. It was really crazy. Just crazy. Kind of interesting to see all of this, but this is a hobby that's so much fun. Tuning in everywhere. Hey Keegan, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas, my friend. Always nice to have everybody here. It's we're a great bunch of guys, and it's always really cool to have everybody here. Honestly, hope you enjoy. Cool, Keegan. We're getting there. 17,000 subs for the channel isn't bad at all. So, and it's kind of nice. One of the things that's fun about 11 meters and 27 megahertz is when it's open. With low solar activity, because when we're at the peak of solar activity, it's cool. It's open almost all the time. But when you're at the low part of solar activity, the only thing that works well is pretty much sporadic E-scope, and that doesn't happen every day. So you're happy when it happens because it's like it opens the bands, and it's fun to listen in and see that there's some activity there. I come from the 80s when solar activity, 80s and 90s solar activity was so high that it was 10 meters was like that band that's always open, and there's always something on it almost all the time. I remember early 90s I had a little portable scanner, 10-channel scanner, and we would go up north with friends, and I would be long periods of times where I was all alone in the shack there, and I had that scanner, and I remember it would go down to 29 megahertz. Solar activity was so high back then that I remember in February, March, I would hear the FM repeaters, especially one on 29660 from the Virgin Islands that was booming in all the time. And I was listening to the Virgin Islands repeater on that little handheld scanner with all the stations going through and making contacts. It was so great. But you know what? You lose that, because you lose that thing, you lose that moment where you kind of lose the fact that, you know what, 10 meters won't be open all the time. Because when solar activity goes down, 10 meters tends to be closed most of the time. And like now, we're at the minimum, solar minimum. So it's just crazy, you know? So yeah, I was hearing a station in, I heard a station in South Carolina on 28400 this morning. Neeson Greenwich, nice to have you on board from Dublin. Pretty cool to have you here. So it's kind of nice, you know, I mean, and with the SDR, what's cool is you can, well, I don't know what happened here with that noise showing up. What's cool with the SDR is that you can tune in, you know, like I could put in 28500 and here I'll just, you know, center myself there and pretty much see, you know, if there's any stations popping in the 10 meter band. Well, that wasn't there like 10 minutes ago. These new lines appeared. Probably a neighbor like turned on their TV or something. Yeah, something for sure, because that wasn't there like 10 minutes ago. Well, somebody's doing something. Rob in Phoenix, Arizona. Nice to have you here. Pretty cool. You know, it's Matam Valley says, you know, it's serious when you measure your QSL cards by pounds instead of count. How many QSL cards do you have? Oh, about 300 pounds. That's my collection weighs 360 pounds. God. Joe Sabourin says, your videos have been super helpful, and now a ham bookmark so full of links that are awesome. I get. Wife thinks I've lost my mind. You know what? I think everybody that watches us in our hobby thinks we have gone mad. Especially when, you know, the radio is like a, you know, it's just in the static with something in the background doing beeps and squeals and stuff. They all look at us and they're all like, okay, really? What the hell are you doing? You know? Listening to aliens or something? Oh, man. So, any sign of Spain? So 9690 is off. There's Turkey. Turkey's on. 9830. Voice of Turkey English.
Human Kingdom welcome visitors at the top of Mount Lebanon. You cannot help but wonder how these 9 major stages were built.
Voice of Turkey 9830 in English.
And how they were carried to the side. There are a number of artifacts atop Mount Nemrut, including a tomb sanctuary flanked by giant statues adorned with reliefs. Long research decrypts blank inscriptions on statues and reveals that the artifacts belong to the kingdom of Commagene and were built during the rule of King Antiochus I. The kingdom of Commagene that was founded as an independent kingdom in 109 BC in southeastern Anatolia was home to peoples of different faiths and cultures. A number of temples across the kingdom, hoping that a structure would strengthen.
So Voice of Turkey 9830 kilohertz coming in quite well. Quite well. Richard Cook has RWM time signal 4996-9996. I'm going to try it in a few minutes. Just going to go down the list. Mad Radio the Extra says, that's why I'm mad. Keegan has WWV 15 megahertz. Josebo says the CB guys on 27 megahertz can be fun when the bands go down. And you know, it's always an indication. I always use the CB band to check propagation on the 10 meter band. Dana F, nice to have you on board from Providence, Rhode Island. Any plug and play for RTL SDR yet? If not, you think there will be someday? You know, it's always a little. You always need to replace these drivers and stuff, so it's always kind of a little, you know. Mr. Lucky Train, my Reticus V115 only charges up to 3/4 using 5 volt 500 milliamp USB charger. Radio shows it's continually charging, but never reaches a full charge and stops. Okay, mine charges well, but that looks like some kind of battery problem. Usually when that happens, it's more of a battery problem. When you use it, do you still have, you know, several hours of listening at least? You know, if you have hours and hours of listening, it doesn't matter that much, honestly. If you use it and the battery lasts only 30 minutes, then there is a problem. For sure. Rufus Newt says, next week I will be QTH Alderman County. My sister will wonder, what the hell am I doing again with radio? AI4QT, just curious, have you ever ran SETI, free program from NASA? You can install on your computer network to search for it. Yes, absolutely. I was one of the first guys that actually downloaded that long time ago. I remember on my Pentium 4 computer, and that software was kind of new back then. And I thought that the idea of being able to help and searching for extraterrestrial signals was really, really cool. Josebo, have you done an SDR play setup video? No, I will though. I will this week. I know a lot of people are asking me for videos for SDR play and SDR Uno and some of the settings and kind of have down to earth explaining of it. I will do that. I need to set down. You know what is probably the biggest thing here is that summertime has one major problem. You feel like doing something else than making videos, and I've been a little slow and sluggish on the video output in the past month or so. But you know, it's gonna come back, and we're gonna have videos, and I'm gonna have a lot of stuff and talk about the different settings and all of that in here. I think a lot of people would like that for sure. Batam Bali says, would be interesting to do a live show at a later hour at some point with different HF conditions and lower bands. You know, I was posting videos of reception of was maybe 03 UT the other day, which is 11 p.m. here. And somebody posted, you should do a late night live show. I don't know if it's you, but I remember somebody posting, you should do a late night live show. Because it's kind of cool, and you know, it could be just tuning the bands. You don't have to, you know, go nuts over whatever content. And yeah, that surely would be a good idea. Absolutely, I think it would be nice to do one for sure. Maybe if I could get up someday and do a early morning live show, you know, like at 12 UT or something. You know, pretty crazy. Take care, John McClure. Yeah, I remember somebody, but I don't remember if it's you. But I remember somebody commented on a video and said, oh, you should do a late night live show. Well, that's the thing. The timing, honestly, the timing of my show, the reasoning behind it was there's two things I can do. Do two shows, one later in the evening that would be good for North America, but not so good for Europe because it would be too late, and one earlier that would be good for Europe, but it's not as good for North America. And the thing is, I chose to do it at this specific time to try to reach the maximum amount of people both here and Europe, because it's complex. You know, I mean, we live in a big world where there's a lot of time zones. This time is kind of interesting because the biggest audience I got. So I'll run down basically the countries that watch my YouTube channel, okay? And I'm gonna bring this up right now. So I'm gonna go to YouTube here, and I'm gonna give you the guys an idea of the 5 biggest countries that watch my channel. So let me just go here to the Creator Studio and look at my analytics for the channel. And here goes. So if I look at the analytics here and look at countries. So right now 5 countries, the 5 biggest countries are United States, 60% of views. The UK has 12% of views. Canada, 7%. Australia, 2%. And Germany, 2%. That's how it's divided right now. But if I look at every region, what I noticed is whatever I do. So if we take out the live shows, and bunch everything together, apart from India, that has like 1.5%, Europe as a whole, when you take all the countries of Europe, is a very big chunk of viewers. So after the United States as a country, Europe is second, if we take all the European countries at once. But when I look at the videos that I post and look at around the world, I don't have a big audience like, you know, in Asia or even South America's. You know, the nearest South American country, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Brazil is 9th in the viewership of my videos. But apart from that, I mean, you know, there's Japan, that's 11. Japan is at 12th position. What I see here is when I look at the statistics, what it tells me, honestly, is that Europe is a big chunk, North America is a big chunk, but remove that, and there's a little bit of Australia and Japan. And this time is kind of interesting because we have some Japanese viewers that sometimes pop up in the chat. Australia, it's very early morning over there, yes, but still, some of you do show up. I get you guys in Europe. I understand in North America it's not always easy because a lot of you are maybe still working. But I kind of position myself in a spot where I'm kind of trying to get the maximum amount of viewership, you know, honestly. Hey Calvin, nice to have you on board, my friend. So Chris Alpha Tango, not yet, but I am to get my license before the end of the year for sure. Mr. Lucky Train, got an 8+ hours at volume 5 setting, but I've let radio charge overnight, but never get a full charge. Can this long charge time damage radio or battery by overcharging? No, because the battery protects itself, so it's never going to overcharge. It could be simply, it might just be the radio itself that doesn't kind of get the right information off the battery. I don't think it's going to be a problem, honestly. And if you get 8+ hours, it's charging pretty much to its maximum capacity. I think it's going to be okay. As long, Kelvin, as you're not driving home watching the show, that would be a problem. Rodolpha65 says you should do a special show called Pirate Hunters and listen to pirates all night. You know, maybe I could do a Saturday night show later in the evening, a little later, and call it like, you know, the Saturday night pirate hunting. And we'd all just go through pirate stations. Yeah, no, we got nobody here from Germany to this too hot. Probably too hot in Germany. Probably too hot in Germany. Oh man. Matambali, with a really late night show, I could do post low frequencies. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I could do maybe. We should. You know, I should try that. One day I will do one around 0200. 0200 is 10 p.m. here, and we could see how, you know, what it brings in the viewership maybe. Joseph Owen says, thanks, your love, your inside knowledge and enthusiasm. No, it's helped me get excited. Go out to fire up the barbecue now. See you next week. Always nice to have you here, my friend. Yeah, the 2000-hour time slot isn't bad. I think it's pretty much one of the best to try to get the most amount of people together. I think it's one of the best slots. What I find maybe a little sad, even though it isn't too bad, is that in the summertime, like now, there's not as many stations as maybe, you know, like in September, October, where there's going to be lots more stuff, for sure. Take care, Lee Burkett. Nice to have you here, and have a great night. It's nice to have you on board. So, hey guys, we've been on for 2 hours 33 minutes. I want to thank everybody. I am going to sign off for tonight. Hope you enjoyed today's show. I will surely continue listening to some shortwave tonight. So maybe I'll post some other videos. Chasing pirates. One of the things I want to do for sure is soon have another pirate special live show, which is nice because almost every time I did a special pirate live show, there was a pirate station that would rebroadcast my audio, which was kind of nice. So we'll be checking that out. So take care, my friends. I'm continuing to listen in tonight. Thanks for being here. Without you, there would be no... Oh, the RWM, Richard, yes. Let me just check it out quickly. 14996 CW 14996 9996. Oh, I hear the tone on 9996. RWM time signal, Moscow, 9996. And 4996. That one's a little early, but I do hear RWM. If it's the tone right now, which I do think it is, let me just put this bigger here. Yeah, it's definitely RWM. So I'm getting RWM on 9996, Richard. So So yeah, please do donate. It helps you. It helps me a lot. Once again, my PayPal. Before we go, paypal.me/shortwave. And thanks for giving me a great opportunity to. You can send to the Yahoo email that you see here, also on PayPal. And thanks, guys, for giving me the opportunity also to, kind of live my life in a very unique way, and that's making YouTube videos. I mean, the biggest chunk of cash that I get from YouTube comes from the tech channel. This channel is much smaller, but still, being able to live your life off of this, and of course your donations help in here. And I want to thank you all for supporting me. Thanks everybody for being great fans. I mean, without you guys, I'd talk to myself like I say all the time. It'd be boring. See you later. See you next Friday, August 2nd, right? Friday, August 2nd. Will be the month of August. Crazy. Take care, my friends. Love you all, and stay safe, please, so that we can be back with all of you next week. Bye now.